Okay, we're filming. Okay. I read one book this month and watched 13 movies, and out of the 13 movies, I would least recommend, I'm sorry, The Devil Wears Prada 2. We will get into that later, and then I would say I really loved Michael, and my favorite out of the 13 was definitely Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft, The Tour. That was definitely my favorite, and I have to say my honorable mention is Searching. I am just basically going to go through all of the movies, all 13 that I watched, and then I'll talk about my read of the month. I'm just going to go in order of date, so from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, and I will talk about each movie as I go. Starting with the first movie that I watched, which is Bo Burnham's Inside. Look who's inside again. Stuck in COVID-19 lockdown, U.S. comedian and musician Bo Burnham attempts to stay sane and happy by writing, shooting, and performing a one-man comedy special. This movie is from 2021, starring Bo Burnham, written and directed by him, of course, as well. I watched this. My boyfriend shared it with me because he really liked it. I thought it was decently good. His comedy revolves around music, so it's musical-esque, and I'm not like the biggest fan of musicals, so that is like the only downside. Bo, he comments a lot on, you know, politics and kind of the state of the world, and he shoots it over like, I don't know, like a long time, over 6 months, I think a year, and it gets really real. I think when you strip away the comedy, you can see sort of what lockdown is doing to him mentally, and it's quite a moving story, a little bit sad, but all in all, I think it's pretty good. Next, I watched The Punjab. Drug abuse and the darker side of Punjab rear their heads in the intense, interwoven tales of a policeman, a doctor, a migrant worker, and a rock star. I saw this movie probably maybe 2018 or 2019, and I wanted to show it to my boyfriend. It's a movie from 2016, directed by Abhishek Chaubey. He also co-writes it. It's starring Shahid Kapoor and Alia Bhatt. The other writer is Sudip Sharma, and if I didn't say, Abhishek also directed it as well. Uttar Punjab, what can I say about this film here? It's really interesting. Let me start off with that. My boyfriend thought it was a joke, because usually the movies that I show him are like not that, like, they're not like cinema, you know? They're just regular, your everyday movie. And this, so he thought it was one of those. The beginning is definitely bizarre. It's essentially what the synopsis says. It's sort of two tales. Rock star, and I don't know, I guess, I don't know what her title is or what she does. I'm not sure if she's a student or not. I think she is actually not a student. She like has this terrible job of working in fields, and she comes across a packet of drugs, and she tries to sell it, and it kind of gets her in quite a bit of trouble. So it is very intense in that way, but you can describe it as compelling, very interesting. Obviously, I would definitely recommend it. Then I watched Yumi in Tuscany. She came for the pasta and got lost in the sauce. When a woman crashes at an empty Italian villa posing as the owner's fiance, she discovers an unexpected romance that could transform her life. This is starring Halle Bailey and Regé-Jean Page, written by Ryan Engel and directed by Kat Coiro. I'm not sure how you say that, but it is a movie about a woman who kind of is like, this is not a spoiler, she essentially, years ago, she lost her mom. Her mom has passed on, and that kind of put her in a rut. And she kind of gets this opportunity, even though she is broke, to go to Italy. So she takes that opportunity. She doesn't have anywhere to stay. She doesn't really have any money. So she ends up going to a villa of a guy that she met. sometime before she left. And then the family shows up, and then she's like, well, that's because I'm here because I'm his fiance. And that gets the story rolling a little bit. It is, I think it could have been a little funnier, but you know what? It is what it is. It was sort of kind of giving like a Netflix rom-com, and so if you're wanting something super light, a bit funny, then this movie is definitely for you. Next up is Eat, Pray, Love from 2010, featuring Julia Roberts and Javier Bardem, and it was written by Jennifer Salt and Ryan Murphy. Let yourself go. A married woman realizes how unhappy her marriage really is and that her life needs to go in a different direction. After a painful divorce, she takes off on a round-the-world journey to find herself. And find herself she does. This is one of my, or probably my favorite memoirs of all time. I think the first one that I read a long time ago, it's on my shelf, by Elizabeth Gilbert. I remember when I got this book, and I still have the receipt. The receipt serves as my bookmark, and you can see here I bought it. The receipt's still in good condition, on 10/29/2020, and I finished it. It looks like I signed it 12/23/20. Right before Christmas. I absolutely, honestly, I really adore the story. It is so good. She goes to Italy, Indonesia, and India, and Indonesia. And she finds a lot of friends in Italy, and she eats a lot of good food. In Indonesia, she prays, not necessarily finds religion, but she does a lot of spiritual healing in India, and then sort of the same in Indonesia. She does a little bit more spiritual healing, but she also falls in love. And I think it's beautiful. It's a great story. I think the movie, I think I've read this twice, and I think the movie does a decent job of adapting the memoir, and I think it's great. I do recommend, and I think this is really inspiring. It's going to inspire you to want to find yourself more deeply, and travel, and all the things. All right, next is The Devil Wears Prada 2. From 2026, starring Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway, written by Aline Brosh McKenna and directed by David Frankel. Icons reign forever. Andy Sachs returns to runway as Miranda Priestley navigates a new media landscape and runway's position within. The duo reconnect with former assistant Emily Charlton, now the head of a luxury brand that possesses funding which can ensure runway's survival. Yeah, so let's talk about my annoyances. Okay, first of all, it wasn't that funny. Let's start there. Second of all, it was kind of predictable, not in a good way. Thirdly, it could have been a lot better. I think that's my main thing about this movie, is that it could have been so much better. Okay, so I'm sure you already know the whole story. You've seen the first movie, blah, 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 blah. Can we talk about how slow the movie is? The movie is slow. The movie, nothing really happens in like the first 45 minutes, hour 15. I saw it in theaters, so I was not checking the time, but the movie's really slow. The first exciting thing to happen, spoiler alert, kind of, is when the guy dies. I don't even remember who it was, but when the guy dies. That was the first exciting thing to happen. Personally, I think that should have happened within the first 45 minutes. That should have been the thing that like kicked the story off, not Andy getting fired. Or like that, but, well, no. Well, See, the Andy getting fired and the guy dying, that should have happened at the same time, and that would have been more exciting than Andy just getting fired and giving a speech, and then, oh, it just so happens that they need a writer for like a. I think that was ridiculous. And then also, I think the movie assumed that we knew everything from the first movie, which, yeah, probably true, but then the movie cannot stand on its own, and that's a problem. Every movie needs to be sort of treated as if you're going into the movie like for the first time, and not that we need to be refed information, but we should get to spend more time with Andy, get to know who she is. And same thing with Miranda. We should spend more time with her, get to know who she is. And again, since this movie has taken the movies have taken place 20 years apart, like, I'm sure they've changed. So just putting Andy and Miranda back together in the first 15 minutes is just, I think it does not give our characters enough time to, first of all, be their own characters, and then actually get to know who they are as individuals 20 years later, or just as individuals as they are now. So I think that's one of my biggest problems. I also think that it was kind of too 2026, like a little meta. I don't like when things are meta. I like things to be timeless. I like when stories are timeless and not to pop culture, not to sign of the times. Sign of the times in a subtle way, but not sign of the times in the obvious way. And I think also the HR assistant, I think it was funny, but not funny at the same time. I think there was one time where it made me laugh when she was correcting Miranda. And speaking of that, I also think that Miranda should not have lost her bite, her inappropriateness, her whatever you want to call it. I think Miranda should have been the same Miranda from The Devil Wears Prada 1, the first one. She should have been completely careless and not caring what anybody says, not caring if she could get in trouble for anything, which maybe that was never a thing, her needing to care if she was going to get in trouble or not. However, I think that should have been her, and then there should have been something that ate away at that for her to go like soft, and then at the end she sort of gets it back. So I hate that Miranda starts off kind of weak and not as strong, because that is some of the things that made her such a great, funny character in the first one. That was her character. Like, obviously, I know I said that we should be getting to know the characters as they are, and not assuming that we knew who they are, but like, that's exactly the point. We should be able to see that Miranda is, this boss who is not to be messed with. And then it would have been a much more interesting character arc, because she, just ended up sort of like this, like it was like flat, and then she got something back, instead of her being on top, having a dark moment, and then coming back to where she was or better. And I still think they could have fit in the "you can't say that anymore," because that can be funny, but I just think they did it in a wrong way. So those are my problems with The Devil Wears Prada 2, and that's why it's my least favorite, because it could have just been so much better. It felt kind of lazy to me, like a lot of the films these days are. Lazy. They didn't try hard enough. They didn't think hard enough to make it interesting. They just knew that we're going to show up and watch it, and so they didn't care, and yeah. So that's The Devil Wears Prada 2. Sorry if I hurt your feelings, but let me know in the comments. Do you feel the same way? If you don't, please speak up, because, you know, I'm interested in discourse. I want to talk. I want to hear your opinions. So yeah, please let me know. So next up is our biggest honorable mention, Searching, from 2018, featuring John Cho and Michelle Law, written by Anish Chaganty. Whoa, Letterboxd. First of all, these fonts are so small. Please, I actually cannot see. Okay, written by Anish Chaganty. Oh gosh. I don't know how to say that name. Chaganty. Anish Chaganty? Okay, and Sev Ohanian, and then directed also by Anish Chaganty. Oh boy. No one is lost without a trace. After David Kim's 16-year-old daughter goes missing, a local investigation is opened and a detective is assigned to the case. But 37 hours later, and without a single lead, David decides to search the one place no one has looked yet, where all secrets are kept today, his daughter's laptop. Again, this is a movie that my boyfriend showed me. Very creative. I think this movie is essentially a masterclass in so many things. A masterclass in writing, a masterclass in storytelling, a masterclass in, like, making a very, very thrilling film on a lower budget. I mean, I feel like you can learn so much from it, and that's why it's my, like, most honorable mention. It is an amazing feat, I think, in creativity. Pretty unique. It's just a masterclass in so much, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I think you just have to watch it to see. As a joke, we watched Regretting You from 2025, featuring McKenna Grace and Mason Thames, or Thames, right? Yeah. Written by Susan McMartin and directed by Josh Boone. Risk everything, regret nothing. Morgan Grant and her daughter, Clara, explore what's left behind after a devastating accident reveals a shocking betrayal and forces them to confront family secrets, redefine love, and rediscover each other. What do I have to say about this here movie? It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, actually. So that was on the plus side. It was better than we thought it was gonna be. Ironically, also, like, since it was better than we thought it was gonna be, it wasn't as funny as we thought it was gonna be, but that wasn't, like, we still were able to make it through just fine without needing to be laughing at it the entire time. So I think maybe that says something about something. It was giving a little bit Hallmark. A little bit. It was kind of confusing. I'm not very good at family trees in the first place, but I feel like we did not spend enough time with the characters to really know who is who. And so that got us hung up a little bit, like trying to remember who was with who and then who cheated on who and all the things. But it was good. It was fine. It was fine. Next up, my second most favorite movie, Michael, from obviously this year. Discover the Making of a King. The story of Michael Jackson, one of the most influential artists the world has ever known, and his life beyond the music. His journey from the discovery of his extraordinary talent as the lead of the Jackson 5 to the visionary artist whose creative ambition fueled a relentless pursuit to become the biggest entertainer in the world, highlighting both his life offstage and some of the most iconic performances from his early solo career. And honestly, I felt that. I felt that I was there. I felt like this is iconic. I felt like the movie was really good. And you know what? It was. It's not only just a feeling. It's starring Jafar Jackson and Coleman Domingo, and it was written by John Logan, directed by Antoine Fuqua. I feel like there's not much to talk about it. Like, I think everyone has seen this movie. Everyone has seen this movie. The movie is about Michael Jackson starting from childhood to the beginning of his solo career, and it's amazing. I am just going to say this right now. There's no way the second one's going to be as good as this. I didn't know that there was supposed to be a second one until it said his story continues, and then I was like, there's going to be a second one, ha 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 ha. And then my boyfriend was like, no, there's going to be a second one. And then the internet was like, yeah, so there's going to be a second one. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to be as good. I think this was perfection. It was perfection. I mean, all of the greatest songs, like, it was basically, like, feeling like we got, like, behind the scenes. I think this movie is perfect as is. And yeah, you should see it if you haven't. And if you haven't seen it, why? But, yeah. I speechless. The movie was good. That's all I have to say. Like, 10 out of 10, do recommend. Like, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 stars. No notes. It was so entertaining. And that's what I want out of a movie, to be entertained. And I was entertained. So, yeah. Michael. The next film, my most favorite from this month, Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour. I did not see it in 3D because 3D makes me, like, sick. Makes me nauseous. So I don't like seeing things in 3D. So I saw it in the regular D, the 2D. And yeah. I am in love with Billie Eilish now. Like, I've always known that she existed, but I see her now. And I see her music. Like, I've always known, like, I've heard her music. Like, I've been like, wow, this is a very interesting song. Like, this is what I kind of feel like. You know how everything is already written? Some people believe that. You know, it's just like, it's God's world, it's the universe's world, it's Mother Nature's world, it's their story, and we're just living in it. Because how is it? You know, I've known of Billie Eilish for years, many years, since I think her first album and single, probably. And somehow it is just now, through this movie, which, by the way, I didn't know was coming out until I saw the trailer in theaters. And then I was really busy, and I was able to only catch it on its last day in the theater. So, I don't know. I feel like it's very, very special that it must be time for Billie to enter my life. Maybe earlier I would not be able to appreciate her genius, but now the universe is saying that I can, and I'm able to have Billie. So, I don't know. That's just very exciting to me, and I love that I have been listening to her music a little bit more now, like actually listening to it, like seeking it out, not letting it come to me. So that's something very, very exciting. I did not get to say, obviously it's from this year, Billie Eilish and James Cameron reinvent the concert experience. Captured during Billie Eilish's sold-out world tour, a concert experience from one of the most celebrated and successful artists of her generation, presented in immersive 3D, which of course I did not see. Obviously, we know who's in it, director James Cameron and Billie, and then directed by Billie Eilish and Tarek Mikau, or Tarek Mik. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Mikau, Tariq, not exactly sure. Do forgive me. That is Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. And yeah, now I am officially a Billie Eilish fan, and I'm so happy to be here. Next, we kind of went on a little bit of early 2000s kind of run in the later part of the month. So we have Honey from 2003. Her dream, her terms. Honey Daniels dreams of making a name for herself as a hip-hop choreographer. When she's not busy hitting downtown clubs with her friends, she teaches dance classes at a nearby community center in Harlem, New York, as a way to keep kids off the streets. Honey thinks she hits the jackpot when she meets a hotshot director, but when he starts demanding sexual favors from her, Honey makes a decision that will change her life. It is featuring, or starring, not featuring, I think I've been saying that, starring, Jessica Alba, essentially, and it's written by Alonzo Brown and Kim Watson and directed by Billy Woodruff. So, Honey from 2003, I have the DVD here. It was kind of just staring me in the face. I think this is clearly from my childhood, and it has traveled with me through the years. I haven't watched it in very, very long, but it's just been staring me in the face. And so I was like, hey, let's watch this tonight. And you know what? It was kind of good. Essentially, Honey, she loves to dance. She can choreograph. And one night, she's having sort of a dance battle in the club, and then somebody was recording it, and it ends up in front of the eyes of this director, who then finds her and says, hey, you're going to be in this next music video. She does really well. And he essentially says, all right, I have jobs for you. You're going to be the choreographer of the next 3 videos with these artists. And she's like, that's great. But then, as it says, he kind of pulls something, and then she's like, no, I'm not doing this. And then that kind of starts her off on her sort of own journey. And in the midst of it, she essentially is gaining fame and popularity. She's on TV. Everyone in her neighborhood knows her. Well, they already knew her, but they're like, oh my God, you're on TV. She has a best friend who's feeling a little left out. So the movie also explores friendship as well, and how it can be affected by that or an influx of fame. Then we went a year back to 2002 and watched The Country Bears. I love this movie dearly. It's so good, and when I was showing it to my boyfriend, he said that it was actually based off of a ride, and I was like, what? That is so random to me or it's kind of like a show experience. He showed me that it was not an original movie, which is so interesting. But The Country Bears, they're legends. Barely. B-E-A-R-L-Y. For Barry Barrington, The Country Bears' young #1 fan fitting in with his all-too-human family is proving impossible. When he runs away to Country Bear Hall and his heroes, he discovers the venue that made them famous is near foreclosure. Barry hightails it over the river and through the woods to get the Bears and the band back together for an all-out reunion concert to save Country Bear Hall. Essentially, that is what it is. There's a bear in a human family, and he's like, I don't fit in here. And his little brother, Human, makes him feel bad about it, and so he runs away to his favorite band, the Country Bears. He goes to the Country Bear Hall, and then he's like, it's closing, that can't be. So then there's one of the bears is there, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go on a road trip to get the band back together. And it is good family fun, and it is good fun even if you're not watching with your family. It is great. It's funny. It's great. I do recommend The Country Bears. And then we went 4 years later and watched Akeelah and the Bee. I also showed this to my boyfriend. Changing the world, one word at a time. 11-year-old Akeelah Anderson has a way with words. After winning her school-wide spelling bee, she decides to enter the competition despite her classmates' derision and the antipathy of her mother, Tanya. Thanks to the efforts of her coach, Dr. Larrabee, she reaches the finals. As she gets to know her fellow competitors, Akeelah realizes that coming first isn't everything in life. I obviously also haven't seen this movie in a long time, and before I forget, starring Keke Palmer and Lawrence Fishburne, as well as Angela Bassett, and it was written by Doug Atchison. Doug who? It was written and directed by Doug Atchison. Atchison? Atchison. Okay. Written and directed by Doug. I haven't watched this movie in a long time. I wish it's one I also had on DVD. That would be really fun. It's essentially about an 11-year-old girl who is smarter than everybody else in her class, or at least reading and spelling and vocabulary wise. I'm not sure how she does in math and all the other subjects, but she's smart. She gets made fun of for being smart, but her teachers convince her to do a spelling bee either way. She advances, and with each of the competition, you know, just like Honey, there also is sort of like a theme of what happens when you gain fame, because Akilah is getting a lot of press and attention from her school, and her best friend also feels left out. So I think that's very interesting to have. Two of the movies have share a similar theme and topic. She keeps advancing and she makes friends and she gains a lot of character. I think it is a really, really, really tremendous film, and it should be watched. Yeah. Okay, yay, we've finally made it to the last film, which is great because my phone is about to die. We're on less than 10%. And I am parched. I am so thirsty. The last movie I watched in May was Mamma Mia from 2008, starring Amanda Seyfried and Meryl Streep. A mother, a daughter, three possible fathers, a trip down the aisle you'll never forget. A spirited young bride-to-be living with her single mother on a small Greek island secretly invites three of her mother's ex-boyfriends in hope of finding her biological father to walk her down the aisle. So I'm sure many people have, I'm going to talk really fast because, again, directed by the way, I guess I did not say that, written by Katherine Johnson, directed by Phillida Lloyd. Sorry, I'm so bad with names apparently. And then it's also something I'm not used to, but I got feedback. I said that I have to start saying these things, so I'm going to say them. So Mamma Mia, it was, interesting to say the least. Like I said, I don't really like musicals, so that was the toughest part for me, but I made it through. It was, I liked the premise. I gotta say that. I liked the premise. I liked the concept. I liked that she didn't know who her biological father was, but she found her mother's diary and saw that she, you know, she was getting a little wild with three different boys, and that then she invites them to the wedding, to her wedding. So, because she thinks, I'm definitely going to recognize who my father is. She doesn't, by the way. And so I think it's a very interesting premise. And yes, I think I would have enjoyed the movie more if it wasn't a musical. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I'm going to leave it at that. Mamma Mia. And then, I have to say what book I read. I read Love is a Mixtape. I've made a lot of content on this, so I'm not even going to get into it because, again, my phone is about to die. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Subscribe, because a lot of my viewers are not subscribers, and I want to start a community. So subscribe, and I'll see you next month. I'll see you next month for the next wrap up, but I'll also see you again for the other videos that I do in between the months, week to week or every other week, whatever it is. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye.